Hello, hello, hello. Try that again. Sorry, I forgot to move the camera after my day's work. So, welcome back to the studio, my little studio in the little house in Brighton. This evening we are going to do a production session. So, we're not going to be working on a track from scratch like we do in the morning. Because the brain is tired now. It's much more difficult to work without, being overcome by thoughts. The morning is always better for that because you can just come at it fresh and just go for it, bash it out, and you can trust your instincts a lot more in the morning. In the evening, after a long day at work, it's time to switch into editor mode. So we can listen back and start picking holes in things, basically. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to I'm going to try and stick with one screen this time, because this screen shows the OBS stuff, and when I switch between screens it gets a bit messy. So I'm going to stick with the this camera and this view, so you can still see what I'm doing, but we may not. Maybe we'll look at both at some point, but I'm going to try and avoid that second screen as much as possible to keep it a little bit more tidy. Okay, so first things first, we need to look at what we're working on. So this is my Trello board where I keep track of all the tracks I'm working on. As you can see, there's lots of tracks. Basically, these three lists here, done, draft and discover, are basically tracks that are in progress, so ones I'm actually working on. Splurge is all the tracks that have just been an initial idea, an initial splurge like we did this morning. Sketchbook is all the all previous ideas, so ideas I don't want to work on any further, ideas that I've bookmarked that I might work on a little further, and also ideas or tracks that I've worked on and kind of got to a point where I'm not feeling this anymore, can't quite work out what to do with it. I just put it back in the sketchbook, and maybe I'll pull it out at a later date. So as you can see here, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of ideas all over the last few years. I'm not sure how many there is. Let's have a look, actually. It'd be quite interesting. So 762 ideas there. So it's over 2 years worth of doing a track idea a day. Obviously I haven't done it every day for 2 years. In fact, I've been working on it longer, so it's probably about 3 years in there, maybe more. And from those, we pick the best ones, or pick the ones that we think it's got something in it. Maybe work on that a bit longer. Maybe pull something out of that. A lot of the time, I'll work on tracks, and they'll make it all the way through to the done column, and then I'll get to the point where I'm not feeling it, or I'll listen back to it and go, it's done, but it's not something I want to release. So that'll go back to the sketchbook. Anyway, so I tend to work from right to left when I'm working on tracks in the evening. So I'll start with the ones that are most close to finished, as in they're done, or close to done as possible. And if I don't have enough time after working on that, I'll go back to work on one of the others. So first things first, as you can see, it's got the listen label on it, so we're going to have a listen. Now, I've mentioned this before, so if you watched my streams before, you'll know that if I'm listening back to an idea, I won't listen to the project here. I'm just going to close this so I see what's doing. Because you don't want to be looking at the arrangement while you're listening to it, because you can't hear it as a whole track that way. you're basically already looking at the details that you're hearing. So the trick is just to listen, to take a step away from it, close that so you can't see it, have a listen as a listener. So I'm going to put my headphones on, and we're going to listen to this together. So this one is called Accelerating Returns. I started this on, just as you can see here, I've got 3 versions. The original idea was on the December the 8th. I did another session on it after Christmas on December the 28th, and then one more session on it January the 7th. So at least 3 days ago. The trick is, again, that separation, that stepping back from the music in order to hear it with a fresh set of ears almost, is you've got to leave it for a few days before listening to it again. So last time I worked on this was 4 days ago, so it's about right for a listen. So we're going to listen, we're going to close our eyes, so I'm going to switch off my camera so you can't see me. Oh, I don't think I can actually. Oh, well, you have to watch me with my eyes closed. And we're going to listen to this, and then we're going to see, make a list of things that need to be done. Okay. So, okay, so I go down to my release prep list. I've already decided that I'm going to release this one. So it's good enough to, in my mind, it's got enough there to finish properly, and master and put out. So that's what this little list here is for. It's a good example of what it is. Yes. Do I like it? Yes. Is what it is what I want to release stylistically? Yes. Okay, so I'm happy with those. They're good questions to ask yourself. So, release prep. I noticed that there wasn't quite enough tension built. Let me turn these effects down. That's so annoying. Okay, my MIDI's not working. Let me just unplug and plug back in. I can turn that down. Okay. So I thought, yeah, there wasn't not enough tension. Enough tension in break. Oops. Sorry about that. What is happening is I've got hotkeys again, and they're deciding to. There we go. That's better. Okay. So now I can type, and it won't switch to the screensaver. So sorry about that. Not enough tension during break. So the payoff lacks impact. So payoff lacks impact. Not enough contrast between sections. Some of the sections, mostly in the first half, and kind of like the third quarter, maybe. It was all a bit samey. I think the drums were all playing all the time, so maybe drop something out there. The lead synth line ends too abruptly in first half, I thought, anyway, and it went on too long. Lead synth goes on too long in last quarter. Excuse me. And also the keys, that pluck sound, it seemed like it came in out of phrase. So keys start out of phrase. Or maybe it's like the first hit wasn't quite loud enough. First hit too low. So we'll have a look at that. Okay, so I've identified the problems. So for each of these, I'm going to come up with a solution. Not necessarily the solution, but a solution, something I can try. So not enough tension during break, payoff lacks impact. So let's record more effects and pad automation. So filters, modulation, whatever's available with those instruments, we can mess around with them. Oh, and volume. Effects and volume automation. Oh no, effects and pad automation. Effects, pad, and there's a perk. There's like a perk roll that I put in. It's a bit quiet, so let's ramp that up during the break. Not enough contrast between the sections first half and third quarter, so let's just drop out one drum / perk element for each of those. Lead synth lines ends too abruptly in first half, so overlap start of phrase with how about start of pattern with next phrase. So rather than ending at the end, and add edit. Edit slash, if there is an edit, add detail to edit. So an edit is basically it's a break or a change of elements at the end of a phrase. So a lot of the time I'll drop out the kick, or I'll add a high pass filter to the kick to make some change, so it just gives you that something's coming feeling, and it breaks up the track. Otherwise it's just constant all the time. You've got to have edits in there to give people a rest from things in order to make them want them to come back again. And it's a lot of the time will be drums. You can spend time creating kind of fancy edits and adding more things in there, like drum rolls or snare rolls, quite a common old school trick. Noise risers, and just generally risers, effects risers and things. I try to avoid those classic examples and try and use what's there to create more tension and create the edits and create builds. So usually with effects or taking things away. Less is more sometimes. Okay, so what's the next one? Lead synth goes on to long in last quarter. So we're going to cut that. One phrase earlier. And again, overlap pattern with start of phrase, like we do in the first half. And also record filter automation, filter / effects automation. So spot effects automation. So spot effects as opposed to just effects. Spot effects is when you send something to an effect quickly, so like a delay. So just crank it up very quickly just to spot it, so then it overlaps. Key starts out of phrase, so we're just going to check that. Check and adjust if needed. Okay, so there's my list of stuff to do. So I'm now going to move this across to the other screen so I can see it. Let's close this page. Okay, and let's go dual screen. Excuse me, dual screen and me. So we can see our list and we can see the track. So arrangement page. Okay, so let's just close the view thing down the bottom there. Okay. So let's put these in some sort of order. These things at the top here, there's just things I just need to double check before I bounce out every time I get to this release prep stage. So what's the quickest thing to do here? So let's check the out of phrase keys. Lead synth, that was quite easy to do in both options. Let's do the earlier part first. Not enough contrast between sections, that's quite easy to do, and then not enough tension during break is a bit longer. So now normally I'll put a time on for these things, but because you guys are here, I'm just going to do it in the time I have, which is not much. Okay, so first things first. Key start out phrase, first hit too low. check an adjustable lead. Okay, so does it come in? Yes, it seems to come in. How long is that? It's only 8 bars, so it's not enough time for things to develop. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to move the whole lot down 8 bars. So now it comes in off 16 bars. Let's just check. Now again, the trick is not to over listen. So I'm just going to make sure that transition between goes okay. Help if I take loop off. Okay, so let's just listen to that last bit again. Okay, now I see. I'm just going to put that back because I didn't realize I had 2 different parts playing. We've got this weird kind of pad-like pattern. It's just 2 notes, but I remember listening back to it last time and I heard this kind of low rumble going on, which I quite liked. So I kind of played this in to add to it. So this is what it sounds like. We don't want that high pitch. That's it. I like that. So that's not when the keys come in. The keys actually come in on time. So, and I wanted that to continue. When I was listening to it, I forgot to make that note. I wanted it to continue when the actual keys pattern came in. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to copy that whole channel to double it up, and I'm going to delete the lead part from one of them, and I'm going to delete the pad part from the other one, and then I'm going to repeat that part. So it runs underneath the keys. Right, so what it sounds like, why that sounded like it was coming in out of time, is because there wasn't an edit. So I'm just going to put a quick edit in here. Let's do something. So we've got the kick here. Oops. We've got the kick here. The kick bus. So as I said this morning, all the channels are being routed to buses, and these buses are performance buses. So this is all the MIDI control for these channels are on the buses, not the actual channels themselves, which does make editing things afterwards a little bit more tricky, but it does save a lot of time in actually making the track to start with. So my kick bus, okay, I see what's happened here. So we've got an edit halfway through this next phrase. So I'm just going to move that to the end of the 16 bars. And we're missing, where's my, I think we're just missing the beginning of that note for some reason. Oh, it's really low. I'm not quite sure why it's not playing, so let's bring that up. Okay, maybe it's because the cutoff is low, so let's bring the cutoff up a bit for that. That's better. Okay, cool. So that'll do. So let's go back to our board. So we can tick that off. Okay, done. Lead synth line ends too abruptly in first half. Overlap start of pattern with next phrase and add edit / detail to edit. Okay, so go back. So here is. Okay, so this is where it starts. That's 16 bars. That's the second 16 bars. And then we've got another 16 bars, but it finishes halfway through that for some reason. And we've also got the keys coming in a bit early. This is a little bit confusing. So, do we need? So we've got 32 bars now. We don't need it to run again, do we? I don't think so. So, how long is this track anyway? Oh, it's only 6 minutes. So, I reckon we just kill the synth there, and we let. We have a little bit of a wig out. I just noticed what I've done as well. I've doubled this up. But by doing that, it wasn't going to play in time. So let's go back to this one. Do the same here. Let's just make sure it's playing that first bit, because it may not have come in on the bar. And that was it. Okay, there you go. So I've done the same at the beginning I've done after, but the difference between the one after the break is we've got this rounds synth line playing as well, so that's different to that. I didn't want to do you don't want to do exactly the same thing again, because it's just you'll get bored from hearing it. So I'm just going to do that spot delay, a little bit of maybe a bit of an automation on the filter for the rounds pattern, just to add a bit of an overlap, basically. So let's hit record. Let's get our controls up here. We've got the cutoff, we've got delay. We're just going to use the controls on the actual synth itself as opposed to mixer controls. And see how that works. So let's just hit record and do that. Now it would help if my push hadn't frozen. So let's just restart that and see if we can get it working again. So I don't have to draw this in and get cramp in my hand from all the mouse work. So let's see if we can get it going again. Bear with me. Okay, cool. We're in. That reminds me, there's no swing on this. There's a swing control on the push. I have no idea how you activate that within Ableton. So I always forget to put that on. So we want to put that on because we want to get some swing going in the whole groove, so it's not too straight. Whether we notice a difference or not is another matter. So let's record this automation in again. Okay, here we go. Okay, that'll do for now. Was there an edit? Yeah. So taking that out, and I've just noticed there's another edit halfway through the next phrase, which we don't need, so I'm going to take that out. But what I am going to do here also is I'm going to, spread that out a bit, and let's split that. Control E to split the clip, and I'm just going to mute the closed hat for this section, just to add some contrast. So we've got that slightly straighter groove without the closed hi-hat in. Okay, so lead synth line is abruptly, that's done that. So lead synth goes on too long in last quarter, cut one phrase earlier, and overlap pattern the start of phrase. Now, we think we know why that was, so let's just bring this loop brace across to see where we're at. So that's 16 bars. That's 16 bars, then we've got the overlap. Yeah, so that should be okay. Now, we've got this overlap of the pad. But maybe we need the spot automation. So, same as we did it just now, we're going to record the end of this rounds part, add some automation to it, but I'm also going to use mixer. Mixer spot effects rather than just the instrument effects, just to give that longer echo tail and maybe some reverb as well to help that overlap. So let's just go from halfway through the phrase, record. Now it seems to be missing the first hit from that pattern. So let's just copy. What is it? Bum, 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 bum. That's what we want. Let's take that from the beginning of the pattern and just tag it on the end there. Let's just check that works. Okay, that'll do. Now we've got some mad feedback on the echo. Okay, so that's that one ticked off. Not enough contrast between sections, first half and third quarter. Okay, so I took out the closed hat here. So for this second part, let's see what we can take. Let's see what we can take out. What is this? What's going on here? So let's have a listen. Okay, so let's take the percussion out. That extra percussion hits there. Those bits. Similar to what we did earlier, but it's a different instrument. Make sure we did it from both clips. So we have a difference of this. To that. So a slight change, a little bit of contrast, keep interest. Okay, let's tick that off. Oh my god, damn it, so loud. That effect sound. Okay, not enough tension during break, power flax impact, record more effects, pad and perk volume alternation. Okay, so this is a bit more tricky, so let's press H just to bring everything together. Close this as well because that's getting in the way. Let's go back to the screen so you can see better. Okie dokie. So, this is the break. What can we do? I'm just going to start recording and playing around with some of the effects and controls, especially on the pads. Okay, so that's I've had some effects, some control to the pads. Now this drum roll, this perk roll. So let's add some volume to that. We've got transposes there actually, which is quite nice. So let's add a volume ramp as well. Oh, let's go back to mixer. We've also got some reverb, volume. Okay, so let's have a slight volume ramp. I'm just going to draw this in just for time. If you press Alt and click the left mouse button, you can get a curved volume ramp like that. So it finishes earlier than that, so let's go in a bit closer and then try that. And let's see what it sounds like with everything else in. Okay, could do something else there. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put one of my favourite effects on here. Creative effects. No, it's not that. So let's go to Sound Toys. Where are they? Oh, I'm just going to search for it. Crystallizer. Crystal. There it is, Sound Toys, Crystallize. This thing is great. So I'm just going to put this on here, directly on the channel. And let's go with something melodic granules. Let's try that. See what that sounds like. That's cool. So we've got the mix control. Great thing about Ableton here is when you touch the control in here, the automation lane comes up here. So let's just again draw this in. See what it sounds like. Nice. Subtle, but adds enough, I think. Okay, so that's that. Record more effects, pad and perk volume automation. So effects, what other effects have we got? Okay, so we've got our iPad here, which is controlling some effects as well. So we can send stuff to that. Let me see if there's anything going to that. Oh, that's quite nice. Okay, so we're going to record that in. We've got an extra send control on the iPad for each of the main performance channels, so I can send the percussion to that as well, and we can just add a little bit more to that build up. So let's record that in. Bit more of a complex build up then. That should sound okay. I think that'll do. So let's just double check my list here. Let's go back to screen 2. So some things to check. Output is minus 6 dB. This is for preparing for mastering. I've got a feeling the mix wasn't quite right, but I wasn't listening to the mix when I was listening back before the session. I was just listening to the track as a piece. So I'm pretty confident there's going to be some issues with the mix to deal with before mastering. But if I just prepare it for mastering, then I don't have to worry. Next, when I go back in, I can just adjust what needs to be adjusted. But I can see from here, the master out is minus 6.09, so I've already adjusted the output to be no more than minus 6 dB. So I can tick that off. Have I done 1 dB volume dip at breaks? Now, this is a trick I read about many years ago. And they always, I may have been a tech house producer or someone, but they always reduce the volume during the breaks by 2 decibels in order to increase the impact of the drop. I don't go 2 decibels. I like to be a bit more subtle, but I like the idea of having that difference. So yeah, I've already done that, as you can see here on the master output. So when it goes into the break, it just drops by 1 dB. You won't notice it, but when you master it, there's going to be that slight difference between the break and the full part of the track, just to give that extra punch when it comes back in. So I can tick that off. Now mix down and group mix down. Now these are old items that I still have in my list. Automatically comes up when I produce these cards. Now, because I've been doing this dynamic music making for quite a while now, the mix down and group mix down is already in place with the template, pretty much. So it's just a matter of checking it. So I'm going to, I know that I've got all those plugins in place. I'm just going to check some of my older ideas don't have some of the group channel. Ooh, like that, for example. The drums don't have a group channel process on there. That's probably why they sound a bit low. So I'm just going to drag in Waves SSL channel strip onto my drum channel. Can't believe that's not there. And I've already got a preset for this drum bus. Make sure the analog switch is on. Make sure it actually works. So let me just fire up the drums. Oops. Where are the drums? Now I have a confession to make. I don't know a great deal about compression. but I do know when these lights come on, it's doing something. As in, it's squishing it, and that's bringing up the volume a little bit. So I know if I've got the lights going a little bit, I know I'm adding a little bit of compression, and how much that light is on tells me, and how long it stays on each time tells me how long it's working for, kinda. So if I bring the ratio all the way down, it goes off completely. If I bring that all the way up, you can see it come in. If I bring it further up, you see how much more it's impacting it. You can actually hear it as well. So I want a slight bit of compression. I don't want to pump the shit out of it. And the same with threshold. Go all the way up. It's doing a lot of compression. So let's bring it down so I go for a little bit. And the release. I kind of want it to come on and off quite quickly, so bring that down. So that should do it. Let me just listen to that sound, what that sounds like in the track. Make sure it's not all over the top. That's better. When I was listening back before the session, I was thinking the drums sounded a little bit light. I forgot to make a note about it, but that will do. Okay, so that's mix down and group mix down done. Group mix down meaning that I've got channel strips on these groups here. And I've then got all these performance channels going to these 4 submixers. So I've got channels going into buses, and then got buses going into submix buses. So buses into buses. Just gels everything together. Each time you do that, you gels them together a bit more. And on each one of these, I've got these great waves, crystallized algae, kind of mix bus effects designed for bands, but you know, if you kind of work toward within the kind of band analogy, it works. You've still got the same. You've still got the same elements. You've got the rhythm section. You've got the bass and the drums. You've got the melodic section. You've got the percussive section, and then you've got effects. That's my groups. 4 groups: low mix, perk mix, melodic, and effects. So all these channels go to one of those 4, and then each one of those 4 I'm adjusted to fit together. So low mix. Let's just find a loop. So that's my low mix. Percussive mix, so drums and percussion. And then all the melodic elements together. And then the effects. Can't solo the effects because I've got different routing for those. So let me just turn these off. So you can see that's basically everything. All the return effects are coming into there. The actual effects channel is coming into there. So it's keeping that all together. And I've got no extra processing on there either, just those plugins. Okay, so that's sounding okay. All right, so let's bounce this out. I'm not confident that's going to be the last session I do on it, so I'm not going to check on the other speakers or anything like that. I'm just listening in the headphones here, so I'm not actually doing a mixing session. This is just kind of the final production sessions for the idea. Okay, so I'm going to save this again as a new name. I just basically go 1, 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, and so on, just to keep track of how each version, because if you completely mess it up, you can always go back to the previous version. And also you can keep tabs on how much time you spent on these things and that kind of stuff. It just keeps things tidy as well, because it gets very messy very quickly when you're creating lots and lots and lots and lots of ideas. Okay, so let's record this out. I am going to record it out as a WAV though. 24-bit WAV, no dither. Not sure if you can see that. Yep. Dithering basically is only for your actual final master, because that basically just fills in the gaps in the digital wave form to make it more full. So you don't want to do that yet. You only do that in the final stage when you've done everything you can yourself, and then that just puts in a little bit of extra to take it, hopefully make it sound a little bit less digital. So I'm going to bounce it out now as a 24-bit WAV, and then when I master it, I'll bounce out with the dithering and at 16-bit, because why not? Could do 24. A lot of people do, but most playback platforms don't play things back at 24-bit anyway, so that's the point. All right, so I'm just going to bounce this out into my in progress folder. And that's pretty much it. So let me just check what's going on elsewhere before I go. Make sure I haven't missed anything. Nope, that's me. Okay. So no questions, which is cool. But do, if you are listening or you're watching the recording, if you're watching live, do get involved. Do say hello on the chat. Let me know you're there. I will only see the Twitch chat live. So if you do want to ask a question, you do want to say hello, do we want to get a shout out? Just go over to twitch.tv/DarienJDJ. That's DarienJDJ. And I can answer your questions on there. We can have a little chat. Makes it much more fun. So again, don't forget to subscribe over on Twitch as well. And if you are a producer, if you want to start making music yourself and you're not doing it yet, then make sure to head over to my website and subscribe to my newsletter, because I'm going to be giving you loads of cool stuff very soon to help you out, hopefully. And my website is DarienJDJ.com. Okay. Well, I will catch you again. I'm back Thursday morning, 7:30 a.m. for another creation session, music creation, whether that be starting from scratch or doing another take of an idea we've already tried, one of those things. And then again, back at this time, so starting at 5:30 on Thursday. I'll be doing that every week this year. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can keep it up. And on Thursday, we'll do a little bit of a talk about performance and how to perform tracks, maybe. We'll see. All right. Thanks for tuning in if you have, and I will catch you next time. Take care.